great love of springs. There's one on my finger here, and I've got a lot of spring toys. I need to start actually categorizing them because every single wind-up I've got has basically got a spring in it. But these are more like this sort of springs, although one or two are slightly different. And they do very different things. This one actually is taken from a very simple magic trick, but it's got a nice development, which you may not know, so I'm going to show it to you. The basic trick is to take an ordinary spring, open spring like that, with closed ends, though, and a little brass ring, and put it in the middle. And then when you twist it like that, it seems to be locked in because it won't now come out. And when you take it to the end and try doing it, you can't get it off. So you say to people, how do you take it off? And they don't understand. Perhaps you under a handkerchief or with your hands covering it, you're going to do an action like that, just twist it like that, and now it just lift off like that. So that was discovered, I don't know, perhaps in Victorian times. Then much more recently, probably in the last 30 or 40 years, someone discovered an extra effect, which is this one here. What you do is you take this, the ring to near the end, you do a little twist like that, and now this is the bit that's new. You take this over the end, if it's a weaker spring, take it back to the middle, and you'll see something's happened now, which wasn't there before. Poor old spring has now got to take it the other side. That's it. That's now sitting on two loops, not one. Two loops. So when you do the trick of doing that, it doesn't help. It's still stuck. You've got to take it back over the top in the end, and that makes a very nice extra bit of fun when you're showing this as a mini puzzle, especially to kids who've never seen it before. That extra one makes it all the difference. There's a lot of springs in my collection which do things that pop out, of course. The biggest one they do is that giant springs coming out of a tube. But this is one I hadn't shown before because it's a bit weak, to be honest. But it's still quite nice. It's a Spanish toy from about 30 years ago. And all it is for small children to play a joke on their friends and say, here's a nice camera with a monkey on the front. I'm going to push the button and take a picture of you. And out you pop. Yes, it's a monkey on a spring. There's a spring inside that and it pops out like that. It's simply made and quite sweet. So that's good. A much more sophisticated approach to springs is the work of Johann Valette, who made those wonderful Torio fluxuses. This is one of his which he showed me sometime in the early 90s, I think, when I first met him. This is it's a nice, I don't know how he's joined this. It's extraordinary, isn't it? But anyway, it's a spring spiral. But hold it up to the camera, we might see what's actually inside it. It's actually a lot of glass marbles. As I turn it, it'll start moving. What's nice about this too, not only is a very soft noise, but also a nice feel because you can feel gentle vibrations in your hand as you're doing it. So let's have a go at making this actually perform. So they're not very colourful marbles, I must admit. They are glass. Perhaps with a strong light behind it, they show up a bit more. Let's try it over there where it's a bit more lighted in the background. But the nice feel to it, and I'm still baffled as to how he's made the join somewhere. I can't see it. It's extraordinary. And he made a second version, which is a bit more elaborate, and it's got ball bearings rather than marbles in it. Let's see if I can get this up to the camera and show the ball bearings. Lots and lots of ball bearings. Let's see if I can get it to start moving. There's ball bearings. No one. Oh, there we are. They're starting to move. And then we come back here, and again a nice gentle sort of patter 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 sound as it's going, which is well, one can't even I can't hear it from here, especially with my headphones on. But a nice feel to it too. And sometimes the balls get stuck up and come back to you from the following way. Quite an elaborate thing, actually. And again, how he's joined it, I can't make it out, but a lovely feel to it. This is Johann Valette really had some of his best work, which is springs, I think. The last item to show is a very elaborate one, a very big one. It's a German spring steel, which I bought when I was getting into slinkers. And this before they make plastic versions. This is a big, seriously big spring. At the time, which is the early 80s, this was £13 worth of German steel in a big box too. I did learn to juggle with it too, which is nice. I enjoy juggling. But there's a lovely effect you can do with something else that Johann Vallet's provided us with, which are these magnetic tops. There we are, they're magnets, and they spin round and round when you spin like that. And I discovered that you can put them on this giant thing. They're not supposed to go on that, but I have a go. So let's have a go at performing because it looks so spectacular. Now, I mean, it's possible. I've actually done one with 4 lots of springs in it, but we'll have a go with just the 2 to start with. Let set that going. That's not quite going. Oh, let's do it a little bit. It needs a slightly harder twist to get it stable in space. There we are. So imagine that with a column of those, about 4 of them, all slowly descending to the ground at the end. What a lovely there. Oh, that's about to come to a halt, I think. Yes, it has. The other one's much better balanced. So that's a very, very elaborate spring item, that one. It's one of the biggest things I'm gonna. I've got a feeling there's other things I can do with this, as well as juggling with it and letting putting springs in it. It's such a monster, and I think it's something that's probably worthwhile playing around with to get ideas. Also, you can get nice waves on it, which is a nice one too as well. So that's one of the best toys I've ever bought. I think I've used it so many times and learned to juggle with it at children's parties. And this extra thing is something I've recently discovered. I think that's a good toy. When you can have a toy for so many years and yet discover something new you can do with it, which you didn't know about before. Springs, spring in the air. No, it's winter actually coming up there, but I feel the spring in my heel when I look at some of these toys.